We're back.
We're back.
Audio's on, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that suck if I didn't have the audio on the whole time?
Oh, I would be wicked.
You would just look mad, but nobody would know what you said. I wonder what Dave's saying. They would never guess.
Or I think they'd guess.
Okay.
Who's a great breeder?
Alex, yeah. All right. I found our spot. Welcome back to our reaction video to your comments on our last. That was a little early.
Well, I just want people to know how I felt.
On our video about clipping baby birds for their safety. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out and read the comments and leave a comment because comments got nuts.
Woo!
It's a comment party over there. So we are reacting to the comments you guys left on that video. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll leave a link in the video description and you can check it out. All right. Alex wrote, unfortunately, a lot of places around me, every place that I've looked for feather babies, require the baby's wings to be clipped before they give it to you. Something about liability. Our Linny came to us clipped and I really hate it. He wants to fly so bad and now we have to wait until his feathers grow back. Woo. So I remember this when we first got into birds actually. Do you remember people wouldn't even ship a bird
like
unless you clipped it?
1902?
Oh my gosh.
That's how
we looked great.
Yeah, get with the times,
no,
breeders.
but seriously, don't you remember that? Like they wouldn't ship one because they would be liable for replacing the
Sherry
bird.
ordered one and had bought it for free flight, and the breeder knew it and shipped it clipped, and she sent it back.
That?
Sherry,
Oh, man.
one of our very first flight students.
Yeah, that was.
And so
crazy.
she was like, "Nope, I thought I was attached to the bird. Send a new one."
You can sign a waiver. So now you can say, like, I will not demand a second bird of you if this bird flies away during the shipping thing. Mm-hmm. So you can sign a waiver now and just say, I want it fully flighted. I'll sign whatever waiver I need to not hold you
Which,
liable.
if you ship with Delta, the fact that it gets there is a miracle.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, we'll never have a sponsorship from Delta.
They're not doing it anyway, but I literally, Delta's like, sends me a text message like, hey, come to cargo, your bird's here. And I flew into Tennessee, I shipped the bird there to Tennessee, and I'm picking up for a client. And I'm like, I've been at cargo, they've been closed for an hour. So, long story short, it's like 1 or 2 a.m. and I get the police to break in and take the bird for me. So, didn't really matter if it had full flight feathers, because it was hard to get.
Okay. Luna wrote, moving on.
She wrote that. That's crazy.
I've recently adopted a Conure and Quaker parrot who are both 8 to 9 months and are unfortunately clipped, which I'm definitely against. I'm waiting for new feathers to grow through, but I'm nervous as I'm unaware of how long it takes for them to come through. Is anyone able to assist me? So that's the bummer about clipping, is people feel like it is this instant result and stuff, and then they don't realize how long it takes if you want to reverse that, because there is no reversing. It's just waiting for a natural molt, which takes a long time. So it can take upwards of a year for some species. So yeah,
molting's a whole video in itself, but like over the course of 1 whole year, your bird will have replaced all of its feathers, is like the most general way to put it. So if it was clipped like a month before its main flight feathers molted, cool. We only were out for a month.
Yeah,
sometimes it's like right after the new feathers came in, and so it's a bummer.
Yeah. So Bonnie wrote and said, I feel like everyone who says they clip a bird's wings for their own good is lying to themselves. You clip a bird's wings because you don't want it to fly away from you. Let's be real.
And
reality check.
They can still fly. So
hopefully.
Who was that? Bonnie?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, I love you. And I actually, sorry James, I might love you more because I'm reading what you said next.
James is in all caps. No clipping birds' wings. Cut your arms, legs off and see how you like it.
Yes. That's like fair assessment. So literally, if you could make it where it was pain-free to just cut off your legs and arms, it's the equivalent. Like you're taking all the mobility out of this bird.
I think we're speaking
like a champion. All right, yeah.
I think we're finally getting to the negative comments.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, Shia asks, I have a new bird that is not clipped and she has no clue about humans. Is it okay to clip her so we can train her?
No clue about humans.
It just means, I think she means the bird's untame. towards people.
And what kind of bird?
We don't know.
We don't know.
So this is a very common situation, and we kind of tapped on it in the last video, the part 1, where people feel like it's easier to tame birds that are clipped versus birds that are fully flighted, because the fully flighted ones tell you when they're very uncomfortable and they flee, they get away from you. Birds that can't get away from you tend to bite. So that's why we have stop biting issues and things like that, like my bird always bites me. So I personally feel like taming a flighted bird gives you a better understanding of how well you're doing than a clipped bird. It's just completely different. What?
Well, I'm debating sharing my childhood story.
No.
Yeah, okay. So, no, I'm going to probably do it anyway. But, so
Oh my gosh. This mood.
Yeah,
the
so the thing about clipping a baby bird so that you can train it better, the first thing that comes to mind is a phrase we refer to with clients as birdie bullying. And as a kid, like, there was this POS kid who beat me up from preschool.
Oh, the battery's blinking.
First grade, all the way up.
Oh, no.
And you won't believe what happened.
Yeah, we'll just pick up with another question.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is don't mess with me.
Okay, cool. Judy says...
I'm so glad they didn't get to hear all that.
Like that battery pack was with me on this. All right, so Judy says, clip birds' wings for safety in case you need to get out in case of a fire.
So this is actually interesting. So we lived on a cruise ship for 15 freaking years of our life, right? Like,
off and on.
Yeah, so over that time, I always thought, like, what would happen if the ship sunk? I thought it out loud. We hit the Bermuda Triangle, like, we were up at an angle, and we hit the reef, and if it sunk, we'd still be in the same spot. So, moral of the story, stayed out of the Bermuda Triangle. But I'd always envisioned, like, if we were shipwrecked, what would we do? And I would just let the birds fly back to land. And because they could, whereas if they were clipped, they're screwed. So same thing with a fire. Like, I'd love to know that someone could just open the cages and the birds would find a way to safety, versus if they're clipped. Okay, let's say best case scenario, the birds are clipped and they're out of the cage and the house is on fire. Like, your bird's gonna roast. If it's fully flighted and out of the cage, it has a better chance, right? Obviously, fires are way more in-depth than this is intended to be. I don't mean to argue that at all, but...
I thought we were going with, like, a fire is coming and you need to evacuate. I didn't realize the fire was here.
Your house is on... Okay, your kitchen's on fire. You need to... See, we have fire extinguishers for this reason. Instead of clipping the bird's wings, we just have fire extinguishers.
Well, my whole thought process was, like, you can still ask your bird to step up and then, like, take it outside. Or put it in a carrier and GTFO or whatever. Like, it still works the same with a flighted bird. It just has a better chance, right? Than a clipped. I don't understand how clipping helps
I think you should buy a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
If that's your concern.
Let's go with a fire
Instead of
extinguisher.
scissors.
I like that too. Okay, next one is Tammy. She says, I hate to clip my bird's wings, but I've always been told, would you rather the bird fly away?
Oof. Yes. No, I'm kidding.
No!
So I think
that is a super hard scenario. If you push that on anyone, that would make most people clip there.
I think you have to look at who says that, and they're probably a jerk.
Stop it.
Genuinely, because it's like, would you rather put your dog on a leash or have it run away? Well, people that have relatively well-trained dogs, putting it on a leash is like punishment.
Okay. This was probably said during a time period where most people didn't understand training existed with birds.
The 80s.
And didn't do anything to train them. So it comes from the stories of, like, the dog pushed open the door or the kid left the window open and the bird flew out and we never saw it again.
Which we've had huge success recovering for people.
We have, but that was like a long time ago that it first started because people didn't understand that training existed. So I think what's happening is there's this old cycle of information going around that is just confusing people because they're hearing opposite information. So honestly, most people that do a little bit of training, like with Blueberry, I had not done extensive amounts of training with her, which was really apparent when she botched the descent. But I had done enough and had enough foundations to recover her, which is what Dave's saying with helping other people recover as well. So I think having people understand that there is a certain amount of recoverability, is that a word?
I think to be fair, it's got to be broken down into a few things. So I have been around scenarios where the birds like flat out just didn't have enough of a relationship. They took off, never came back. I've also been around a lot of scenarios where the bird was like, did its first exploratory, whether on purpose or not, and it was like, oh, I don't know how to descend, and ends up in a tree or ends up 2 miles away or 40 miles away 5 days later. Like, there's a lot of things that can cause that. And generally speaking, although the range of technical ability is going to be astronomical, it generally comes down to the bird lacked the specific skills to come back. It didn't choose to leave, it just didn't know how to come down, or didn't know how to come back. Or in one scenario I'm thinking of, like a predator kept chasing it and
yeah,
it
was so scared. Because sometimes it can be a predator and sometimes it can just be like, I've never been outside before and there's a million variables out here. Everything is new and I'm overwhelmed and terrified.
So we did produce a series on recovering lost parrots. It's a free video on YouTube. I tell all my flight students to watch it. And just like, and actually I tell everybody that has a fully flighted bird, watch the video. It's a matter of just if, like when it happens, not if it's gonna happen. And same thing you saw Blueberry, you know, we never intended to free flight train our Budgie, but hey, you know, she got out because a couple mistakes were made, and because we had enough of a foundation, we got her back no problem. It was like 4 stressful minutes.
Of the longest minutes ever.
A really common scenario too is like other people, and this just happened recently, two birds got out on accident and they went into a tree. She was trying to get them out of the tree until dark. The bird stayed there all night. The next morning she went out and they were like, oh, okay, came right down. So like, if you understand enough of like, if your bird gets outside, it's not gone. It's just outside. And that's where, like, if you've done enough training ahead of time, you'll be way better off than the person who says, with good intention, I will add, but like, hey, would you rather your bird fly away? You know, like, we've had some birds go out and have some fun. Like, JINX broke through his padlock in Coney Island. God knows how many seagulls he played with in New York until we woke up and picked him up, and he just flew straight down. Like, if the skills are in place, they will come back based on the training you've done. So I think, again, going back to the last video, like, clipping's the lazy way out. If you're not willing to do the training, perhaps it's not for you. I will even go so far as to say that Luke, my client in Australia, he's like, hey mate, I want to take my bird on a free fly. And he's like, I'm going to send you money. I was like, we gotta figure it out first. We go through the whole interview. I'm like, all right, you're going to be great. He's like, oh, one last thing. I'm paraplegic, my one arm doesn't go very high, and I've got a brain injury. All right, cool, this will be fun, click. And he successfully free flies his bird. So even if somebody in that situation, which is arguably one of the worst case situations, if he's willing to do it and can do it, I think if you're clipping, it's
like, what's your excuse?
It's a full-on reflection of who you are. Like, if you're not willing to put in that work, like, you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, like, hey, I'm lazy. I'm not willing to. And if that's you and you still want to own a bird and you think you can give it a great life, I think, you know, go for it. But is it the best life for the bird? I don't know. If Luke can do it in Australia.
Dang.
Drop the mic.
I was just going to do that.
As I hobble off. No, but seriously, right? I mean, do you disagree?
No, I don't. It was that part where you were talking about how, like, the bird's not gone. It really feels like the bird is gone. Like, when Blueberry flew out, I was like, she's gone. She's like 50 miles down the road. That was it. That was the end. Like, that's where my brain went. I was just like, as soon as she was out of sight, gone forever in my mind, because I was emotional and freaking out. And Dave was just like, no, she's super close. She's got to be like right here. And then logically, you spotted her.
No, she was just hanging out.
Most people
at the first tree.
Yeah, she was right there.
And that's what the video talks about.
Yeah, but in my mind, you know, it was over within the first few seconds, and I think a lot of people relate to that and go through that, and you gotta fight that and have a Dave. You just have
to. So really, like, honestly, it's a free video. Watch it.
Yeah.
It is how to recover a lost bird. They're either going to be upwind or downwind. They're going to probably have a difficulty to descend. If they're going to overnight, what's likely to happen? Like, there's a lot of amazing possibilities based on if your bird got outside. It doesn't mean it's gone. We have probably a 75% recovery rate with people we talk with over the phone. That's not even like in person. There's so much that can be done. But it just comes down to training. You know, does your bird know how to target? Does it spin, or is it on the right diet? Is it getting the right amount of sleep? Have you worked on basic skills in the house? And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like raising a kid.
Yeah, you will have wished you watched that video before you're in that situation, so that when you watch it, when you're in that situation, it's more of a refresher and you're like, oh yeah, we just got to do this, this, and this, versus taking in all that information for the first time when you're in a really crummy situation.
And I will tell you,
I'll leave a link in the description.
The very first thing I say is like, hey, you can mourn forever, but right now, it's not your bird, you're helping me recover my bird. Like, remove your emotion.
That's your mindset.
And if you can help me think through, like, hey, that's Lily and DETKA, or that's JINX, or whoever, one of my birds, and you're helping me recover my bird, you're going to start thinking clearly. And I know that's the hardest thing to do because everybody was like, feels guilty, but you have to. And we've, like I said, we've helped recover so many birds that it's like, yeah, is your bird going to fly off? No, it might get outside. In fact, it probably will get outside. So just make sure you've done the training, because the recoverability, if you've done the training, is usually like one of our clients, a bird took off and he's like, hey, come here. The bird turned around and came back. So,
Pretty awesome.
There's just, you have to be willing to put in the work, just like with having a family or having a dog. You know, you need to put in that work and not take the lazy way out of clipping.
Yeah, we're going to just keep quoting her.
Right.
KO Wildlife Photography. Ooh, might have to have this, if this is a positive comment, might have to have you out on a flight trip.
And if it's not, you're not invited.
Oh my God. Said definitely would never clip a baby bird's wings. I got 2 young budgies and they love flying. I put anti-collision stickers on the windows so they can see it.
I've talked about that with people recently. And
is that what they're called?
I'll come back to that, yeah.
That's awesome. There are some pretty stickers available, so it doesn't have to look ugly. My older budgie gets really distressed when she cannot fly after taking a bath. They need to fly. They are birds.
Oh my gosh, the same with Blueberry.
Yeah.
She tries and she's
just like, gosh, why is this so difficult?
She can't get to the birds.
So cute.
Yeah, so these apparently anti-collision stickers. So when we moved into this house, there were these little like translucent hummingbird stickers, and we have a lot of hummingbirds that we feed, and we love being able to watch them, and especially in slow motion, it's amazing. But yeah, so we kind of have these anti-collision stickers, and I was talking with somebody about this who is very concerned about their bird. The moral of the story is that birds can see in the ultraviolet spectrum. And this particular sticker, am I saying that right? Yeah, the UV spectrum. Or is it infrared? Ultraviolet. They see better than we do. And this particular sticker, it's ultraviolet, I believe. And it reflects differently. So you put it on a piece of glass, and although we mostly see through it, it becomes very apparent to another bird that there's something there. And so if your bird hits the window at that point, it's an idiot.
Oh my gosh, Dave.
What?
Okay. Wendy wrote, my baby cocktail did almost die during his first flight. We didn't know he could fly. It was his... Yeah, we didn't know he could fly.
Could you have not read this after my last comment?
Really? We have a big living dining room. He took off and did crash into the sliding glass door and fell onto the marble strip, ouch, between hardwood and door frame. He bled a lot and I thought he was dead. Took him to the vet and she gave him a 50-50 chance to live. I was totally devastated. The vet clipped his wings. I asked her to. He recovered. His wings are growing in, and he does fly. I'm shocked that somebody would let their bird's wings come back in after that.
Yeah, and that's a super traumatic story. And
but it kind of goes back to what you were saying in the very beginning when you were explaining the studio and how if a bird crashes in here, it's not going to be a bloody mess because it's not going to be a hard landing. So that's the biggest thing is when you are in that chaotic state of the bird fledging and learning to fly and there's just so much that goes into it and the bird seems like it's out of control all the time, which it kind of is. It's like, who's steering this thing?
Mayday.
You do need to bird proof a bit. Like we had one of those other comments saying she modified her space and her environment to suit the bird, not the other way around. So that's kind of, and obviously these things happen and then you realize, oh, that space right there, that is a space that the bird could obviously get hurt. So we need to change it or modify or not let the bird in that space.
You know, and I'm going to tie this back to magic conventions. When I was 13 or 15 years old, I went to a magic convention in LA, competed for the first time. And I remember watching somebody's dove fly and it went to the top of a curtain and just went and it bounced off the stage. And what I like, why that stuck out to me is doves aren't very intelligent. However, other birds may encounter a similar thing. So like even in our studio, if that was to happen,
Yeah, if they tried to land on that.
if they tried to land on
get a
this, they
grip.
couldn't land on this. In fact, somebody just realized, they're like, oh, that's not neon lights. It was, I won't throw under the bus, Maggie, but,
Oh,
but yeah,
Maggie.
so anyway, it's, if they hit this, they're gonna hit, like, we've got yoga mat floor so we can stand and film production stuff.
Sick.
But, you know, even with that, like, whenever I would train birds, I'd always put, like, a sleeping bag at the bottom of a window or a wall or somewhere that the birds could hit. There's even a video someplace where Marina was over, and one of the birds, I think it was Bo, he took flight, and he was like trying to land on the black wall that you have all the photos on.
Yeah.
He was trying to land on that, and was like, do I catch the bird or the pictures? And I caught the pictures, knowing that Bo was going to your friend Marina, and it was like everything was fine, but usually they hit a flat surface and they hit the ground. So you just want to make sure that, like we say with all of our sessions, set yourself up for success. So your food should be right, your treats should be right, the bird's sleep should be right, the environment should be right, everything should be set up for success. So like, I'm not going to go into an Apple store and flight train a macaw for the first time because it's all glass. But after, you know, we trained JINX, we took him in studios that were all glass, and he'd fly in a circle with TV cameras, and
Or
he
I
was
have
fine.
that video on the channel of him in that decor. Do you remember all that decor that they put up for that? I think it was a Christmas. Like they put dangly Christmas lights, and they wanted him to do a flight around the room.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what if he hits the lights? What if he like gets tangled in the lights? What if he just like goes for some of the decor, being like, cool, I'm just gonna land in this. Like I looked into that room and was just like, oh my gosh, I'm freaked out for him.
And to be fair, like he's a veteran, but in the beginning, like we would never start him in that room, and that's kind of the big thing. Like for all of our training, you have to set yourself up for success and just really put your bird and yourself in a situation that's likely to succeed. And a great way that you would summarize somebody saying it was like, if you can't get your bird back in the cage, why would you take it out?
Yeah.
So in other words, like, oh, well, that statement has so many layers to it. It's like, well, did I just fill my bird with carbohydrates and now that's like not even barely willing to step up, and it's really wild because it's brand new and it's fully flighted and I'm in a glass house? Like, you shouldn't do that. You should really kind of think through like, okay, well, maybe I come back in 6 hours once it actually cares about a pine nut, you know, and just really set yourself up for success.
Yeah, think it through. All right, Tamara wrote, this is so important. Growing up, I had a bird who injured himself his first week flying into glass. It was heart-wrenching, but he made a full recovery and needed his full feathers even more after that to regain his confidence. Oh, I read this one too.
Okay, I want to add to that. There's a drawing literally right behind you here, and this has to do with when we put people through our flight training course with their parrots. It doesn't matter if it's a baby or an adult. What we do, okay, most people would look at, okay, build the skills. I take a different approach. I build the confidence, and the skills will follow. And so as you're kind of looking at like that scenario, for example, I would just slowly be increasing the distance that the bird does the flight. And then if, as it develops these new layers, the confidence follows. But if you push too far too fast and you try to make the skills really high, you lose confidence and sometimes you start way over. Going back to the case of like an African gray, they like if they fall and they're clipped and they hit the ground, they associate being in her hand. They can associate being in her hand with like, oh, that was painful because I fall. Therefore, I don't want to go in her hand because I don't want to fall, so I'm not going to step up. And it like becomes this really complex problem where you can just build the confidence slowly, and those skills will follow.
This is why you should take our free flight course, because we know what we're talking about. You're an awesome trainer. I love you so much. So attractive. All right, last one. Okay, I feel like these weren't that mean. I was terrified for nothing. I'm gonna double check with Kim that there's no terrifying comments that I missed, but this person's name is Where's the Tomatoes?
I
So
don't
that's
know, but we had a
hilarious.
question about tomatoes today.
What are you talking about?
Maggie.
Oh, she asked about feeding them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you talking about? Literally every other pet that isn't a bird doesn't fly. So I don't know why people get birds and then take away their ability to do so. Yesterday I was talking to my brother about how I'm getting a bird in a few months, and he was like, is it gonna fly? I'd clip its wings so it doesn't crash into everything. And I told him, yes, it's going to fly. Why would I get a pet that flies and then take that ability away from them? Their bodies are designed to fly. I'm not taking that away just because I'm scared it's going to fly into a window. There's such thing as bird-proofing the house. Yeah, exactly. Common sense, people. But that's so true. Like, if you don't want a bird that flies,
Buy a llama.
a llama.
Unless you don't want an animal that spits.
You just went to llama.
I mean...
Is it camels that spit or llamas?
I was trying to think of the ones in Moab, or Monticello where we were, that one got eaten by a cougar. But what was the...
This is a terrible story.
They like kind of look like poodles with long necks, and they kind of look like llamas.
Alpacas.
Alpacas! Get an alpaca.
Do they spit?
I don't know. They don't fly.
Okay, well, whatever.
Thanks for watching.
Gosh. Okay, there were no scary comments. Let me just make sure with Kim. This will just be faster.
Sorry, missed your call. Sorry, you sent us to voicemail.
We got sent to voicemail. Only our employees do that.
Hey, Kim.
They're
Cheers.
like, oh no. All right, let's try this again. Hey Siri, call Ashlyn.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh, she's calling back. Hey.
Were you calling me?
Yeah.
It happened at the exact moment that I picked up my phone, and as I picked up my phone, my finger hit the red button, and it hadn't rang yet, and I saw your name flash off the screen. I was like, what the
Well, Kim, you've just made a cameo in our YouTube video.
Yeah, I was like, we just got sent to voicemail. Oh, it's okay. I was calling to make sure that those were all the comments in the Dropbox doc because none of them were super scary negative.
Unless you watch the video, then you might feel otherwise.
Our video. Dave's on a rampage over here. He just rants and raves. It's pretty funny. So I just want to make sure I wasn't missing any because I was like, oh, those weren't as terrifying as I was expecting them to be. So.
No, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be really scary.